moving on to our next panel, let me introduce our next moderator. She's a women entrepreneur who got really inspired by blockchain's potential to change the way of conducting business and took as a mission to help more women succeed in this nascent space. She adopted Bitcoin and blockchain in 2017 and worked with startups in both retail-facing and institutional clients to gain deeper insights into challenges, pitfalls, regulation. Please help me welcome Bridget Greenwood as a moderator to lead this amazing panel on amplifying social good. Bridget, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mini. I really appreciate that. And thank you to Radhika as well and the team for organizing this. So welcome to our panel this morning, Amplifying Social Good. When I came into the space in 2017 and I looked at what Bitcoin was trying to do, and that was give us an alternative system to the financial system that we had, which after the 2008 crash, which was man-made, had shown that actually these trusted systems aren't always trustworthy. And then I saw that actually Bitcoin and the underpinning technology of blockchain had so many more applications, and that's what got me really excited. I do think it's important that we make sure that when we are revolutionizing solutions and looking at new ways of doing things, that we don't have the same trap of making sure that we're only building it by a few and therefore we can only build it for a few. And so it's wonderful to see and have our panel with us from across the globe, being able to talk about the work that they're doing and how they're using this technology, blockchain, to be able to serve people that otherwise potentially hadn't had a solution, and problems that hadn't had a solution. So please welcome to our panel, Shaun Frankson. He's a co-founder and CTO at Plastic Bank. We have with us Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar, the CEO of EST Global, Genevieve Leveille, the CEO of AgriLedger, Thessy Mehrain, CEO at equality.io, and Moses Kusasira, CEO at SMG PaySoko. So I'm going to ask each of you in turn to do a quick introduction, and then we can get into the meat of the bones in terms of how we're using this technology, how you're using this technology to amplify social good. So I'm going to take you in the order that you are on my screen. So Genevieve, would you like to do your introduction first, please?
Sure. Thank you very much. I am so happy to be with such great panelists. I have had the pleasure to meet some of you personally, and some others I really look to ways to collaborate with you. I'm Genevieve Leveille, and I'm the CEO of AgriLedger, and we are a blockchain solution empowering smallholder farmers by giving them access to market and to financial services. Thank you.
And Thessy?
Yeah, hi, my name is Thessy Mehrain. I'm a co-founder, don't call myself actually a CEO, co-founder of Liquality, which is a multi-asset crypto wallet, a one-stop shop for all crypto interactions. The name Liquality comes from liquidity and equality, so our goal is to enhance equality.
Wonderful. Moses? Oh, Moses, we can't hear you. Speak again, Moses.
Bridget, can you hear me now?
We can.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm honored to be part of this amazing panel. My name is Moses Kusasira, and I'm the CEO of SMG PaySoko, and we are providing borderless e-commerce payment solutions to connect local retailers with the world. And again, thank you for having me on this panel.
Wonderful. And Shaun?
I'm Shaun Frankson, co-founder of the Plastic Bank, where we make plastic waste a currency to stop ocean plastic. And we do this by setting up ethically sourced recycling ecosystems in vulnerable coastal communities that provide a full traceability of where the plastic's going, so that we can provide that value back to the people who collect it and really make recycling a starting point to a better life.
Amazing. And Dr. Sindhu?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar, CEO and Chairman of EST Global Inc., based at Cambridge Innovation Center, MIT Boston. And we are into impact platform, like how development can be done by using the technology and creation of financial inclusion, and for all the banking and unbanked people should be roped in, and they should become the real protagonists for development. I've already launched a new bank in India, which is called BranchX. Now I'm launching in Ghana, and our agri-tech platform, which is a huge development platform, is almost ready to be launched in India and Ghana next month.
That's great. Very exciting. So can you tell us about the promise of blockchain and AI in how you're solving these problems? So what is it? I mean, you've spoken about financial inclusion, and you've spoken about in the agri sector, but can you break it down a bit more into how this technology is allowing us to be able to put in solutions that perhaps we weren't able to do so before, and maybe touch on some of those challenges that have been addressed and still need to be addressed as you move forward? Dr. Sindhu.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. I think as per the topic of our discussion, which suggests that we need to scale social impact, and it has not happened. As a matter of fact, it has not taken a significant headway. So let me share my humble efforts, and I take you to a small journey where the matrix is the tier 3, 4, and 5 centers in developing countries. Fintech and agtech are the agents. Blockchain, DLT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, drones, and robotics are the tools. We married technologies to banking and finance and rural settings to create the foundation for an integrated development. So the modality was like this: diagnosis of ailments. We analyzed the basic problem, the traditional one as well as the new ones, being the technical illiteracy and non-proliferation of benefits. And the basic issue was non-creation of durable and sustainable capital, which could not create any real sustainable impact. The Technofin assessment summary was that most of the rural economies are based on financial doles in form of grants, subsidies, government cash schemes. What happens thereafter, the cash is consumed and the clock arms come back to the same start point. The pro bono methodology does not make headway. So we created our own strategy, and unfolding the strategy to create this comprehensive integrated digital platform, several startups were brought to ESD ecosystem with seed funding as well, which have been brought under BranchX now, the first theme-based neobank having agency agreement with ICICI Bank in India. It was launched 3 months back once the intensity of COVID had slowed down. But the different verticals of the bank was already working, and in 2020, we had a turnover of around 300 million USD equivalent by way of money transfers and other operations. But the banking started just 3 months back. Fully armed with this and the phygital network, where we have 14,000 agents also, we now penetrate deep in the countryside to move to the final frontiers of commodification of agriculture and corporatization of rural economy. So the roadmap and prognosis look very positive for us. And EST AgriX is the cutting edge DApp, the decentralized autonomous platform to corporatize rural areas with the creation of new agricultural assets and wealth. It is a blockchain based agriculture platform which spans 3 cycles of the farmers: as producer, as seller, and as wealth creator. So the strategy was created. The new 4-pronged strategy was the 4 stages of economic rebuilding activities consisting of capital aggregation. Large number of different financial institutions are brought together in this as aggregator to act as a super funder. Capital utilization, it is a lending platform. So the combined capital of the cooperatives and rural banks, the aggregators, becomes the lender to the rural industries. Capital replenishment. Now, this is very interesting. The rural loan portfolio is converted to a 5-year digital asset like e-receipts, bonds, tokens, available through available to HNIs and other investors. This liquidates bank loans, improving their financial stability, while borrowers get a long-term debt with lower interest rate. And that takes care of the, you must have been reading about suicide of farmers and great depression suffered by farmers. So with this long-term debt facility, it gets rid of all those nuances. The rural artisan, guided by the technology, when becomes the tiny industrialist, their equity becomes eligible to be traded on the rural exchange. They also follow the circular economy principles thereafter. Now, rural exchange is a new concept which has developed, and I had announced it in 2019 after my takeover of Advisory Mandi, which is a registered broker of SEBI in India. So for me, because that was the real source of churning out capital in rural areas, now Reserve Bank of India and Stock Exchange Board of India, they have been very, very proactive with their symposiums and seminars, and government is in the process of creation of local exchanges. So I think we should be having our license anytime, very, very soon. The fourth plank is marketplace. We created 4 levels of marketplace which are integrated to each other, like P2P, local market, national market, and international market. Another unique market created by us is EST, cashless rural market, or the barter system. The export of goods creates the forex earning for the tiny industrial units, and their equities can be traded on rural exchanges, as I stated earlier. So with this economic development and transformation, commodification of agriculture and corporatization of rural economy is taking place, and a capitalist rural economy develops, which is the result of the participative capitalism. Now, let us not confuse with capitalism as like the political capitalism and socialism and all that. This capitalism is purely creation of capital, that how capital can be created, which is durable and sustainable. And these areas work as units or clusters of rural economy, integrated to each other and interacting with each other. The rural capitalism gets established within this ecosystem. Rural economy can prosper free from dictates of the urban economy. There can be no clash or competition with urban economy. The country can also grow with mutually contributing rural and urban economies. Now, the main crux is when it is a participative capitalist economy with the logic of creation of durable and sustainable wealth, then the concepts of circular economy, ESG, other environmental issues, so piously repeated by our international development agencies, they also see the real success in wider sense. Till now, real success has eluded us only because everything is from top with trickle-down theory, which has become redundant. It has to be a reform from below with no economic dole and charity system. So amplification can come only through a pro bono relationship between the technology and the agrarian system. It must move with amplification within, amplification out, and amplification beyond, and constant integration and interaction within the ecosystem. It can then create the respect and trust towards the logic of continuous wealth creation, leading to development and transformation. We are working in India and Africa, and by next year, the full expansion result will be seen. The above discussion is based on the experience and the practical operations which we have done in one of the states of India with tribal population as well. We started with 25 farmers. Now we are in the process of adding 250 farmers. And the concept of MSME export agenda has been adopted by Government of India as a government scheme, Ubharte Sitare or Rising Stars, giving a big validation to our EST platform. Now we are launching in Ghana and Zimbabwe in November, December. thus amplification within and out is expanding to beyond and will be creating more impact. Thank you.
That's amazing. I know that everyone that's on this panel, I'm going to want to spend 45 minutes just following up with questions from them, but unfortunately we've already got 45 minutes with everyone. But Genevieve, I'm going to move to you next, just because there is that link in the problems that you're both looking to solve. It is dealing with people in agriculture, in rural economies. Can you tell us more about what you're doing with AgriLedger and how that technology is being able to really enhance people's lives?
Sure. Thank you so much. And that was very interesting to hear what Dr. Sindhu is doing. With Haiti, what we have done is, with the support of the Haitian government, the Ministry of Agriculture, of Commerce and Industry, and also the support of the World Bank, we implemented a blockchain solution which traces the physical goods throughout the value chain. And so it's not really a supply chain, it's more of a value chain solution. And it tracks not only the items, but also what are the loss, what are the quality, to actually bring this to the foreign market. Haiti has a lot of challenges, as we were hearing before from Shaun, but it also has a lot of riches. And getting those riches to market that want them, such as the mango in Haiti is second to none. The vetiver in Haiti is 50% of the specific oil used for perfume, and the best quality comes from Haiti. But unfortunately, the actual farmers do not receive a fair share or even an equitable share of what is actually garnered from that commodity. So the mango can sell, one mango in the US can sell for $5. And when we look at what the farmer has received, he may not even have received 2 cents of that $5. It's not to say that they need to have 25 cents, but it allows to the system to actually track and remove unnecessary intermediary. But the second thing that we have done, and why I'm very interested in what Dr. Bhaskar is talking about, is we have actually also removed the intermediary in the repayment. So we allow for the individual to say how he or she wants to be paid, be it in cash, mobile money, or if they have a wire account, that banking information. And we send those messages to the bank, who then distributes from a centralized account to everyone who has participated in the chain. What we have done is we've actually used a permission to be able to write. But part of also what we've done is to have the data available and in a public form to allow for research and also to provide access, but all the whilst really protecting people's identity by doing the right level of anonymization. This allows a farmer who usually would have received maybe 2% to receive 68% of the revenue. It's at the wholesale level, mind you, but still it's much better. And so what we saw during the height of COVID was actually a 750% increase in value. And that's not even with telling anyone that the product that was being received was of better quality, had followed all the phytosanitary and also transportation aggregation that are necessary, because we're making sure temperatures and everything are in place. It's challenging in Haiti because it's a very big push in terms of technology, but we're already seeing some of the fruits of this. And the World Bank has been doing the same thing in the coffee and the cocoa industry. And it is life-changing, where someone is receiving 10 times or sometimes 20 times what they were making previously.
It absolutely breaks my heart that the farmers that we have across the world are going to bed hungry. I mean, I just don't understand how we managed to get ourselves into a world where that's the situation. So yes, so it's amazing the work that you're doing in terms of the farmers themselves, of being able to get a fair share for the work that they're doing, for the quality of the crops that they're producing. There's more transparency, that there's more efficiency because you're not using middlemen where we don't need to use them anymore. But also this panel is about amplifying good and social impact. There's also the fact that we have a massive considerations when it comes to how do we feed our growing population. So can you tell me a little bit more about just in a couple of sentences about how what you're looking to do at AgriLedger can help to reduce waste and solve that larger problem that we've got as well.
What I loved about this conference is the fact that it wasn't just about blockchain. It brought in the other very important aspect of what we can do. If you can trust data, now you can start making decisions and getting the best out of that. So it's the AI aspect is very important. So what I think that this will allow us to do is not only being able to quickly ascertain, and this is something that has been already proven by the team at the food trust team at IBM, but it's really be able to ascertain what are the lots which could be tainted and removing that from the ecosystem and removing the ability of the customer to get sick from this. But the other very key thing is understanding what are going to be the outputs. So in many of those places where the export market is really how the country makes money, and this is more evident in Africa, there will be time when there isn't a good understanding of what the smallholder farmer will actually have. And this can give to government the ability to have a glimpse of what the expected yields are going to be, because there's communication back and forth with the farmers, to then be looking at the export control in a more holistic way. Because what will happen is that sometimes it will deflate the price of the commodity because there is no market that the farmer can go to. Or if there is also a shortage happening, the government can actually start taking action earlier rather than waiting when there's famine. But the intrinsic thing that we also get to do is really looking at better equity for individual in terms of what they receive as payment. And it's not just the farmers. I should have added that. The middlemen usually, what they do is they provide services plus, more important, liquidity. With the system that we've set up, they no longer need to provide the liquidity. They actually are part of the overall value chain, removing that risk from them, and they are now providing a service, which then means that they can have access to capital to actually improve their services, rather than wondering, are they going to have up the chain the buyers? And they do have to do the marketing properly in order to partake in the percentage that is given, but it is more of a symbiotic and collaborative world. And with the blockchain aspect of it, no one is controlling the data, and there is a consensus mechanism that needs to go through. So we are able to see better result. And for a place, like Haiti, where there has been so lack of hope in the last few years, this is a glimmer, which we're really loving. Thanks.
Thank you, Genevieve. And then Shaun, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing at Plastic Bank. I mean, I've seen the documentaries where we can see just islands and islands of plastic, and I watched the Conspiracy, so can't eat fish anymore. But please do tell us about the work that you're doing, both in terms of the environmental impact, but also the financial impact that you're having on those that you're working with.
Sure. When we started looking at the root cause of ocean plastic, realizing most of the plastics coming from these areas where we don't have established waste management systems, we really started to look at how do we just change the paradigm on the way plastic really perceived. Quite often around the world, there is informal recycling called waste picking, scavenging, and it's really an absolute last resort. And we started to look at how can we dignify recycling? How could we put that front end of where the plastic's coming of, that's where all the value is coming from. And we really looked at how we could mirror this with technology, that if we could bring in full traceability of the plastic, of knowing that there's no child labor, that people are being paid appropriately, we can really start to bring in these ethical, traceable supply chains that, one, fully everyone knows where's your plastic coming from. But two, when organizations do want to make a social impact of knowing that my plastic stopped ocean plastic, my plastic actually helped improve someone's life, that we can also have that reverse flow of info, that we can prove that this person got paid this amount on this date. And so for us, a lot of it's really almost coming in at step one. Many communities, it's people's first ever cell phone they've ever earned, their first digital account. We create a digital identity, a digital savings. And kind of uniquely, we pay a special bonus on top of the market price of plastic that's done digitally. So there's an incentive for a behavior change. There's now an incentive to actually make everything traceable. So when the plastic goes into products like S.C. Johnson's Windex, various Henkel products, they know exactly where the supply chain came from, but they're also able to invest in the future to know. Many companies have made promises that by 2025, we're going to use all recycled plastic. You know, most of the world's overpromised by 10 times from what our market of recycled plastic is. And this is for us where we can then go and just expand to meet the size that our partners need so that we can pre-set up an ethical, traceable system where we can guarantee this supply chain that gives them the confidence to stop using new plastics, start phasing in the recycled plastic. And for us, again, if you have to make a choice of a recycled plastic, we offer social plastic, knowing it's ethical, traceable, and in ocean-bound regions.
Amazing. So you mentioned there that you're allowing some people to have their first mobile phone and their first ability to be paid in this way. And Dr. Sindhu touched on it before. How are you combating the issues when it comes to, do you have literacy issues? Do you have data issues? Do you have, tech issues to be able to roll this out? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, no, so all of the above, and that it's interesting. I also always make it clear that, I don't consider us a blockchain company. We are a company that blockchain is a part of this solution. And we realize that we really need to be the first or the last mile problem solver of, even when we certify one of our branches, the one person with the phone can register the members, create the accounts. We have teams around the world that can help facilitate and really help phase in this full ecosystem where someone can earn their first phone. Many places, part of our membership programs is actually getting someone a government ID for the first time in their life, which then allows them to work with third-party cash out partners whether it's a telecom, a digital wallet. And we really look at not coming in and, creating something that competes with the existing economy, but really how can we come in, certify, uplift everyone, and really connect everyone for this value chain. So especially, anyone working on any form of, digital payments, insurances, banking, all of these, we don't look to do all of this all ourselves, but, how might we have someone earn access to everything they need through recycling and really partner with these evolving digital ecosystems? In a perfect world, we wouldn't be the ones having to provide the phones, providing all these first mile things. And when we find other partner solutions that are also doing the same thing, we can really start piggybacking together that it's all just a livelihood improvement program.
Yeah, amazing. My sister lives out in Livingston in Zambia, and her waste, she'll have a small plastic bottle of water and then she'll put about 2 months worth of waste in it. And I could compare that behavior compared to the behavior that we have here in the Western world, and it's utterly shocking. But yeah, no, that's fascinating. Again, I want to delve into so many other questions, but Moses, I wondered if you can tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing when it comes to e-commerce and microfinancing, and how you're using this technology to create solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Bridget. So for us, when we came to we've been in the fintech industry for over 10 years. We've developed point of sale systems. But when we came back to Kenya, I'm originally from Kenya, and I moved to the United States, and we opened our company out in Silicon Valley. And then I came back in 2017. That's when obviously Bitcoin was taking off. But one thing we noticed in Africa was there's a lot of talent, and like we were talking about right now in agriculture, but there's a lot of talent even beyond agriculture. You have artisans, you have just raw talent when it comes to freelancers, people that can do a lot of great things. And Kenya being one of the top leading country when it comes to mobile payment, actually one of every mobile payment transaction is done by a Kenyan, which means like 90% of all transactions in Kenya are done through mobile payments, specifically M-Pesa. One thing is great. That's great that Kenya has moved far in that area. However, when it comes to payments, getting let's say business from outside the borders, overseas, it becomes a challenge, for the freelancers or for the retailers selling the items, because the people overseas, they're paying with different form of payments, PayPal, whether it's credit card, debit card. So we saw there's a gap in between here where most of the freelancers, most of the artisans, most of the retailers here, they basically have a roadblock when it comes to getting business, yet they're very talented. And this is not a problem just in Kenya, but in the whole Africa. So that's when we basically decided to build a platform, PaySoko, which gives the ability for anybody, any kind of artisan or retailer to be able to basically do any kind of service or sell items across border, create that global e-commerce aspect of things, and basically receive payment from somebody who's paying with a different type of form of payment. And that could be, again, credit card, PayPal, Bitcoin, any kind of cryptocurrency. And then on this side, they'll be able to basically get that money into their M-Pesa wallet, which is the mobile payments, and be able to basically take it out of the mobile payments into their M-Pesa account. So, and in Kenya, most of the people are unbanked. However, most of the people have an M-Pesa account, which is it uses the USSD system, and like Sindhu was talking about, some of the groups of people might not have digital or smartphones, and we're going to the root level as well, where we're providing people with that are unable to have smartphones, we're providing them with smartphones so that when they run their e-commerce solution, they'll be able to sell these items directly to a buyer in America. And we've partnered with different groups in Kenya, from the YWCA. We've been working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we've partnered with them basically to help. Like one of the groups that is a big group that we're working with is the young women entrepreneurs. And most of these women, they have products that they're creating, great, amazing products, but they don't have the market to sell because of the simple problem of digital transformation and digital tools. So in order to be able to create that, we've created a digital environment, and we created a platform, a PaySoko platform that gives them the ability to have digital payments on their mobile phone, where they can use any kind of e-commerce solution. But not only that, we went a little bit further to make it more applicable in this environment, where you need collaboration in some instances. For example, there's a project called AgriLedger, which means sister market, where you have these artisans and crafts and craftswomen and different type of talents. They're creating all these items, but the problem is when you look at an item like a kitenge is an African dress, and you're selling that item online. For most people overseas, they don't know what a kitenge is, right? But if you take that kitenge and you put it, you put it on a person, and that person is dressing that kitenge and holding a kitenge from Mombasa, let's say, holding a bag from Uganda, maybe some earrings from the Maasai land. Now you create an image, right? Now somebody overseas, when they see that image, they say, hey, I like that image, and that's, I want to buy everything that person is wearing. Now, Macu, all this is coming from different vendors, different regions. So what our payment system does is basically is able to split that payment instantly to the different vendors, so that they get their portion into M-Pesa, even though this person paid, whether it's crypto or paid with credit card, they're able to get their portion split immediately. And with this split environment, we're able to also basically provide them with different ways of microfinancing. Let's say if they want to microfinance a phone, or there's a group that wants to provide bundles. When we talk about bundles like Wi-Fi, you're able to provide the bundles to the different groups, and the system at every sale will split and basically pay for the Wi-Fi, pay for the cell phone, even pay for rent. For, let's say, if you have a digital or a physical store, it'll pay for that rent at every portion of the sale. So that creates an environment that all these artisans are able to basically run business, be able to be digitally connected, be able to sell to the global market, and not have the boundaries that we've had initially, where different people pay differently, but you have a different, a problem receiving the funds on this side. It makes it easy for everybody, and it basically amplifies the whole aspect of and the whole group of people that are talented in areas like this.
So do I understand you correctly that you're able to bring artisan sellers together who might not know each other or be connected, but be able to then help them be in a marketplace where you can group their items together to make it a much more inviting piece? So it's not just giving them the access and giving them the financial payments, it's also putting the structure together so that they can sell more, and as well as be able to transact with international markets.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big, when you look at it, different regions, whether in Europe or in the US, Africa creates a lot of different things, right? And not just Africa, different places, different areas, they create a lot of different things. Now, when you're looking at products, unfortunately, if you don't know what it is, it becomes, you don't get interested. But if you look at it in a certain image, then it changes everything. And like the example I gave before, another example is a painting. You have a great painter, and the painting, like maybe let's say it's Maasai painting with cows, but you don't quite get it, how the painting will look, in an environment. Mm-hmm. So now imagine you take that painting, you put it on top of a wall, and you have a couch, and on the couch you have, pillowcases with Ankara print, you have a mat from different places. So now you have a visual of how this great, amazing painting will look in an environment. Now that has just opened up business for not just the painting, but the person that created the Ankara, the person that created the table mats, to all come together. And this is where even AI comes in. We built a system so that it's machine learning, and at some point you'll be able to collect this information and put the information together to basically give you that image, land that image that you're looking for, and open up a pathway for all entrepreneurs that are doing great items, great art, and pushing them to basically sell in the global market.
And I can see this going into the metaverse as well. In terms of thinking differently, Thessy, thank you very much for your patience. I would love to hear from you about what you're doing with Lequality, especially around the equality part of it. So it's not just having technology, but it's actually, thinking about every aspect of how you build your business. Can you share with everyone what your thoughts on that are, please?
Absolutely, yeah. So my interest in general in blockchain, I got there via initially working with JP Morgan's corporate investment bank during the financial crisis, seeing that there is something wrong with the financial world. I joined Occupy's alternative banking group for a few years. That's an activist group, a working group. And I was exploring different ways of how we could create a system that's more equal and more just, and doesn't have the risk, right? The risk of too big to fail. I found out about blockchain in 2015 and have since been building tools for like a global, more equitable society. And what you were alluding to, I also started Women in Blockchain community in 2016, which was the first one out there. And how does that relate, right? So I'm German Iranian. I have experience with, government controls and hyperinflation, and the amount of friction that is even there, just sending global transactions, right? And these topics came up quite a few times already from the other speakers. So one is the operational efficiency that blockchain brings, and that's great, which makes it also less expensive. That's really important if you talk about inclusion. But really what I'm interested in is this replacement of trust, right, with code. And so that is something today about 1.5 billion people are not included in the financial system and in banking. One, for their business not being valuable enough and worth to banks, that makes sense. Or they don't have a registered ID. And so what I'm interested in is, and what Lequality is solving, if you think about the internet having scaled communication and brought that to everywhere. Now, the blockchain is the Web3. It's called the Web3. It's the next iteration of the internet, and it's scaling trust. So as with the internet, what you could do is you could start now, you have communications with people who are not in the same space. What banks were doing, or lots of institutions were doing before, being the middleman and providing that trust to the transactions, we can now do with code, just to keep it like super simple here. And so what Lequality is doing is building out this type of infrastructure, right? And so we believe that a wallet, not a wallet as maybe most people think about it, but a wallet literally as a browser to that next Web3 world, where you not just hold assets, any assets. We shouldn't have to think about like, oh, is that Bitcoin, is this Ether? There should be any assets across blockchains, and you should have access to any decentralized applications that are out there with this wallet. And that's what we have started to do. We have a multi-chain wallet and multi-assets, and we can swap between, and we can access across, right? So with that, we have onboarded the different communities building these, because they're all specific communities. They have different interests, they have different values, and we have created this somewhat neutral space where all these different blockchains can come together. The user can decide, I want to interact here, I want to interact here. And it's peer-to-peer technology. There is no middleman. We don't even hold the contracts. We have no control over any assets. It's self-custody, which means the user at all times has control over their assets. And so today it's solving a technical problem of compatibility, of interoperability between technologies that needed a middleman before, right? I mean, this is literally, you have your little Coinbase in your pocket, right? Yep. You think about this, this is huge. And so you don't need a Coinbase. You can do this in your browser even, And this is just the beginning, because we have invited it's all open source. The community, the developer community, is building and plugging in and expanding this. So it's really an infrastructure that we want to eventually lead to financial inclusion and to this digital autonomy for everyone.
Amazing. So anyone who's listening in who hasn't been doing this, and I say doing this, I mean going down the rabbit hole and then building within the blockchain and AI space, hopefully what you'll take away from this is a complete and utter shift in how people are thinking and how we're using these tools to be able to bring new solutions that do indeed have a huge social impact, as well as profitability in the space that they're working in. I would love to ask you all more questions. We were going to say, what's the one key takeaway thing that you want to do? But I was asked 6 minutes ago to be able to wrap it up. So I'm going to respect our hosts in terms of the timekeeping. Thank you so much, Thessy, Dr. Sindhu, Moses, Shaun, and Genevieve. And I look forward to connecting with you all as we carry on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bridget. That was an amazing panel that you led. And really kudos to all our panelists, Genevieve, Thessy, Moses, Shaun, Dr. Sindhu, for making this social good panel so impactful and inspiring for our audience. Thank you again.